And welcome to another Cosmology segment, folks. I'm your host, Dan, aka smAsho. And let's get right into it, talking about the Parker Solar Probe, something that we've been talking about a lot, and that we'll be continuing to talk about a lot for the next year plus, for the next several years, as it goes through its closest solar orbits, getting closer and closer over time. Parker Solar Probe, fastest object ever built by mankind as far as we know. Going to be getting very close to the sun, although largely staying on the ecliptic plane. If you want to read about the Parker Solar Probe, we've left links to that. Here's the diagram of its first perihelions and aphelions, as well as its Venus gravity assists and so on. And we did leave links to the Where is Parker Solar Probe page. Here's a diagram of the current state of affairs. On the way to its fourth perihelion, so it's going to keep getting closer and closer each time, and we've already seen fascinating data come out about it. Also, we have opened up our web whiteboard if anybody wants to check that out. We've got all kinds of information there on cosmic rays, about the liquid metallic sun model, where you've got liquid metallic hydrogen lattice layers interspersed with intercalate gas layers. Also an image of some jets. Here's a Blazar M87. A makeshift diagram of what the heliosphere might look like. So perhaps check out the web whiteboard. It'll be up for about 10 more days. And let's talk about the ESO Solar Orbiter. Now it's taken off 2 days ago on Sunday night. Super excited about this one, as this will be in charge of studying the solar poles. It should get the highest resolution images ever taken of the solar poles. So it should be interesting, especially as we move back into another solar maximum. This should provide some fantastic data about what's going on in the solar polar fields. So perhaps read the SciTech Daily article that we've linked below the video. Now, we have had photos of the sun's north pole before, and this is from the ESA's Proba 2 mission. Links to that article as well if you want to read about that. If you weren't aware, there is an enduring coronal hole at both poles of the sun all the time. Although we do get crown prominences at the poles during solar maximum, those coronal holes stay there always, as far as we know.
To do the most complicated space.
Now let's talk about the latest Joe Rogan experience. And don't copyright me, because we talk about space every day with our spaced out viewers. Anyway, Garrett Reisman is on there, having done multiple spacewalks. Here's a tidbit.
There and you know, they can prepare you for everything except for the visual.
A lot of people, when they do a spacewalk, folks, they think that they're going to fall. Because there's an extreme sense of emptiness. So when they train for these missions, they're doing it underwater in a pool. And when you look off into the distance, all you can see is the wall of the pool. When you're doing a spacewalk, what you see is the Earth. And a lot of people get the sense that they're going to fall, similar to when you stand at the edge of a cliff. And that causes them to screw their mission up regularly because they hold on for dear life and they get too tired to do their 8-hour spacewalk. We're going to skip the aurora forecast today, although that's the current state of affairs. No significant auroras. Let's look at the location of the planets in this cosmology segment. There's where they are now. And there's where they'll be in 1 week, as Mercury swings around to pass us, and Venus is fixing to do the same, on this lonely side of the sun where all the planets are on the other side, except for Venus and Mercury. I would also like to bring your attention to stellarium.org. This is completely unvetted, but I have started to check this out. And of course, I'm looking at evolved supergiant, massive X-ray binary X3 known as Deneb, consisting of a massive radio source orbiting a blue supergiant Wolf-Rayet star with solar wind speed and density about 10 times of the Sun's. An interesting object, to say the least, that if it was in our solar system, it would be about the size of Mars's orbit. Here's where stuff is above my head. Let me refresh. It's 428. Do you know where your constellations are? Check out in-the-sky.org. Make yourself a sky chart, put in your location. You can animate it. It's good times. We're going to do cosmic rays real quick. Here's the Opacity Neutron Monitor, which has seen an uptick over the past 3 days. And similar data there at Barentsburg. So creating a small uptick there over the past 30. Let's look at Athens. And here's the Athens Neutron Monitor. No corroborative uptick there over the past 3 days. Looking flat over the past 3 days, and indeed the 30 days. Next, Mexico City. There's the data from Mexico City. Small uptick there over the past 3 days, and a small uptick over the past 30 as well. I would note Moscow's not been sent in data, that we do leave links to the Network of Cosmic Rays station site below every video. Here's the Oulu Neutron Monitor, as well as DOMC Antarctica. And Oulu also showing an uptick in cosmic rays over the past 3 days. And there's DOMC Antarctica, DOMB Antarctica also not sending data. Again, links to the Network of Cosmic Ray Station site below the video. Let's talk about the most consistent source of cosmic rays known, Cygnus X3, known as Deneb, in the constellation Cygnus. I don't know why I got to keep saying it over and over again. Nobody seems to want to listen to me about the cosmic ray flux from Cygnus X3. I would note here that it is in a quiescent state. As you can see, here's the daily. See the zero line? See how low the transients are? Here's the historic data, going all the way back to 2005, and the zero line is way down here. And this object always returns back to a high energy state when it goes to a quiescent state. Cygnus X3, if you want to look at transients yourself, check out the Swift-BAT Hard X-ray Transient Observatory, the Neil Gorell Swift Observatory. By the way, BAT stands for Burst Alert Telescope, looking at X-ray flux. And we've got a forum section specifically dedicated to Cygnus X3, and we are waiting to watch this thing go back from a quiescent state, hoping that somebody has a radio telescope fixed on it. Let me just quote from the smashomash.com/forum. In other words, if we note a 4.8-hour periodicity in an aspect of solar output, for example, then indeed the extremely serious nature of Cygnus X3's role in local cosmology will change instantly. In order for this object to constantly send hydrogen nuclei all the way to the Earth, it surely must be sending a significant quantity to the Sun as well, as these are highly charged particles. And we linked to this Vice article below the video, as Vice broke this story yesterday before we saw anybody else doing it. So just to give them newscrawler credit, Vice.com breaking a story about the fast radio burst. It turns out that it's got a 16-day periodicity, and it's called FRB 180916-J0158 plus 65, and there's the location from which it emanates. It does look like a bow shock location. If you look at that, folks, you can see this V-shaped, this V-shaped feature here. And you can see very diffuse dust and very dense dust lined up right next to each other. And we've left links to the extremetech.com article also. This is only one of 2 fast radio bursts ever being traced to its source, as fast radio bursts are very hard to trace to their sources. So a very interesting scenario that this one, while in a more quiescent state, appears to have a predictable 16-day periodicity. So have yourself a read about FRB 180916.J0158 plus 65. Were you aware that there's a neutron star that's traveling at over 241,000 miles per hour? Now, we prefer to call these massive radio sources, as I don't personally believe it's a star made of neutrons. But check out smashomash.com/forum in the cosmology section on the most. We've got a list of the most interesting objects in astronomy, cosmology, whatever you want to call it. This neutron star, J1-85635-3754, was discovered back in 1996 because of occultation. Somebody was looking at like one of these objects back here, and they're like, what the heck was that moved in front of our field of view? And then they noticed that it was this object, massive radio source, RxJ1-85635-3754. 3 years later, they measured it way over here, and a couple months later, they measured it way over there, an indication that it is moving at 241,000 miles per hour, approximately the speed of the solar wind. So if you're scared of comets and asteroids, there are some more massive objects moving around at similar speeds in the universe. And we do not condone violence, but that is violent. We did a video featuring it. Here's a tidbit, a teaser. Here, which means it was traveling at a tidy speed of 241,589 miles an hour. Yeah. Anyway, check out that video if you haven't. Now, let's talk about the black hole neutron star merger that LIGO allegedly captured. Guess what? They can't seem to resolve any sort of increase in light or electromagnetic energy or anything else. So this was allegedly detected by LIGO. Let's ask a survey question. LIGO is able to detect gravity waves via laser interferometry from millions of light years away here on Earth. Survey said? Aw, man. Global warming update. Here's a phys.org article, which apparently is blaming cosmic forces on the Earth's carbon cycle instead of human emissions. We left links to the article here from phys.org also, so perhaps check that out if you haven't yet read about how space is in charge of the climate, not human carbon dioxide, which is a ridiculous and silly notion. Here's another from phys.org, the cosmic confusion of the microwave background. Another thing that cosmologists seem to agree on is that there's this cosmic microwave background, which is some sort of a leftover signal from the Big Bang. It's completely ridiculous. As there's all kinds of microwaves in space, it's a stupid, idiotic idea trying to measure the cosmic microwave background. It's simply not there. Ask Robitaille, he'll agree. The cosmic microwave background is a thing that exists, is repeatably measurable, and is evidence of the Big Bang. Survey said? Aw, man. Huge portions of current astronomy and cosmology are not nonsense. Survey said? Geez, oh whiz, I'm batting a 0. Were you aware that dust affects magnetic fields, or at least the measurement of the magnetic fields? Were you aware that things like plasma align to magnetic fields? Well, here's another phys.org article about the way spatial dust bunnies affect things. So perhaps have a read on that. Some more interesting information about things like Earth's bow shock and various other things about the way the solar wind affects fields. Links to the article below the video. If you haven't gotten around to subscribing to the channel on YouTube, please do so. Please press the notification bell, as it may increase the probability that you'll actually see our content as it gets buried in search algorithms on the regs. Also, check us out on BitShoot. We're almost at 90 subscribers over there. A great repository if you're worried about your YouTube channel getting deleted for no reason. And we've got some exclusives, like the Dumpster Fire Trainwreck, the DNC Pete versus Bernie, Shadow Inc. and Tyranny. Or what about the Censor This B word, Google Junkware, YouTube censorship, the DNC and Bernie. Thanks to our patrons, who are assistant and associate producers of the programs. Please consider becoming a patron, supporting the extreme amount of work that we're planning on doing in 2020. The main source of funding for the content, patreon.com/smAshomash. Hey Smash team, Thanks for leaving comments and sharing on your social media. And here's a 48-hour view of the local yellow dwarf in 193 angstroms. Coronal holes rotating into the Earth-facing region there. A little bit of activity just north of the equator. Looks like a filament collapse happened there. We have no coronal mass ejections facing the Earth right now, folks. That's some good news for you. Thanks for tuning in. Look for more content coming soon. And don't forget to check out smashomash.com/forum.